second week's game of the day, just ahead of the destination walk.
So I'm active.
Yes, Kevin's worried about
With
it.
it. It's another shit place where it rains.
Yeah, I do like it, but it's
And welcome back to you on BBC Essex and BBC Radio Solent. Nick Lethill here with Kevin James and David Brett. And the weather has improved a little bit as forecast. It should be getting better as the day goes on. We've got a bit of blue sky, the drizzle has stopped, and we have players on the field. Hampshire are going to bat, having won the toss. Interesting decision even before the rain arrived, but I'll be hoping that there's not any residual dampness, which is going to assist the Essex seamers as we start to make our way through proceedings. So it's going to be, I think, a challenging morning for Hampshire. Lunch is due at 1:10, so they've got to get through about an hour and a half during this session. And Joe Wedley's gone out there with Tom Alsop, and it's going to be Jamie Porter to bowl the first over. So the weather improving. We've got a little bit of blue sky, still a lot of cloud cover, but hopefully we've seen the last of a drizzle, which has been a feature of the morning so far. And I think the spectators just getting their seats a little bit drier and waiting for the action to start, with Kevin James here from BBC Radio Solent to describe the opening salvos.
Thank you very much, Nick. Oh, I love watching it rain. I can't get enough. To be honest, I'd love it more and more. Really has been good fun over the last week or two.
I know where you've been at a game where they only had 1 day's play in 4, and that was the first day, wasn't it? And if it had been a Monday to Thursday game, it would have almost certainly been a total washout, wouldn't it?
And even in that 1 day, I think there was still an hour's worth of rain. So here we go then, Hampshire with not the best record here at Chelmsford. We'll talk more about that in a moment as Jamie Porter gets things underway from the Hayes Close end. It's well wide of off stump, and Joe Weatherly leaves that one alone. Yes, if you add it up, Hampshire's last 3 games here in the Championship have all ended in defeat. Their last 3 50-over games here have also ended in defeat, including this year. And they haven't won in 4 T20 games, although last year's was a tie. So you can understand why I'm not exactly thrilled about being here, as that's pushed out on the offside. A little bit of bounce there from just short of a leg from Porter.
Yeah, they'd have taken a rained out draw here and a full game at the Worksop, I suspect, in terms of what. But Hampshire, of course, have had a better season than some previous ones, and they beat Essex 24-1 in the opening game, which was quite a convincing margin.
Yes, an innings.
In terms of bonus points.
It certainly was. So Hampshire winning the toss. We were surprised there was even a toss. So obviously Hampshire were very keen to have a bat as he's playing and missing outside the off stump. Goes through to Adam Wheater, who's playing first game since that very first game that we've just been talking about at the EGS Bowl. There's
no Peter Siddle today for Essex. They're going to miss him. That must be something that's come up fairly recently. So Aaron Beard in the side. But they do have Adam Wheater back behind the stumps, playing against his old side, and that's very valuable. They really missed him in the 50-over competition. That, and of course Varun Chopper's injury for a lot of that competition as well, were 2 key factors why Essex didn't perform well.
Here comes Porter, right arm over, bowls again to Weatherly. Weatherly's playing and missing outside the off stump. I think it's fairly safe to say there'll be a little bit of zip this morning. Still heavy cloud cover. The wicket well to our left, so we can't really see the movement other than just judging by the way the batsmen are playing at the ball. It's a fairly white deck.
Yeah, I think it's why Hampshire happy to bat on it, thinking get through this morning and there should be runs out there and we don't want to be batting last.
I've always thought there's runs out there, it's just that Hampshire don't seem to find them on the whole. Maybe they might today. He bowls a slightly fuller, thick inside edge as it goes out just in front of square on the leg side.
This is the second biggest match going on today, the biggest being at Old Trafford, of course, in the World Cup, where Indian openers have put on an unseparated 100 inside 18 overs against Pakistan. 101 for no wicket in the 18th over. India. Rohit going particularly well.
No Darwin, has he? He's injured, isn't he? For a couple of games at least.
Not missing him at the moment. Rohit 61 from 52. So all India at the moment.
Ooh, some sunshine from somewhere. As Porter comes in again. That's outside the off stump. Comfortably left this time by Weatherly, and that is a maiden over to get things underway. First over of this match.
So from Hampshire's point of view, it's a bold move. A lot of sides would have just rolled up, looked at the conditions and said, with particularly given what happened at Worksop a week ago, in another away game where Hampshire bowled Nottinghamshire out cheaply. I said we'll just have a bowl here, but they've decided that their best tactic in the game is perhaps try and emulate what they did in the reverse fixture, where again Hampshire were batting first. We remember, Kevin, in what we thought were unpromising conditions on the opening day of the season, and I think they rattled up a very big score indeed, which certainly I think put Essex on the back foot from that stage onwards, and I'm hoping that history can repeat itself here.
525 for 8 declared. My word, that will be a strong performance. Oh my word, that will be a performance and a half.
It was a slightly stronger depth to the Hampshire batting in that game.
There certainly was. Aidan Markram and James Vince are two names that come to mind as Sam Cook. Is it you? Sorry, or was it me?
No, you carry on.
Sam Cook bowls, and it's pushed up to mid-on by Tom Alsop, who's opening at the batting. I thought it might be a Nyrin Donald coming in for Ollie Soames. I thought it might just be a straight swap, but it looks like Donald is going to stay at about number 7 in the couple of games that he's played so far this year.
So Alsop hasn't opened much in the Championship, has he? Don't think so.
No, he batted 3 early on in the season
Yes.
against Warwickshire. Got 150 in the first innings. As he's on the back foot there, pushes it out square on the offside.
Yeah, he's the one. I think I might have tweeted you at one point. Had a very strange run of a band of scores this season. He got a lot of mid-20s, a couple of very low scores, and then some very big scores, and not a lot in between. So suggesting that if he can get past 30, he's a good banker to go on and get a big score.
Yeah, he is. I don't know. I'm still trying to work him out as a player. Really, I think he's certainly highly rated, very highly rated. And his high scores do suggest that, but as you say, there's a mixture in there. There's a drive, but it's a thick inside edge as it goes down towards squarish fine leg. And Alsop is off the mark, and that's the first runs of today. At Southern Sport is one way you can get in touch with us, or southerncricket@gmail.com, and of course Nick.
Yeah, essex.cricket@bbc.co.uk or at BBC Essex Sport. If you'd like to get in touch with us during the day. Big game this, with Hampshire in second place. Essex now in a sort of decent run of games. There really has been a stop-start season for Essex so far. Lucky to miss out on the last round of matches, but if they can win this game and beat Somerset, they're still in with a live chance in the Championship this season, but I think they need to win both games.
No surprises really that both games won by Essex have been here, as Weatherly pushes forward, probably just nip back on him a fraction there as he gets a thick inside edge. He goes out behind square on the leg side. They'll pick up a couple, moves on to 3 without loss. Richard Shelley at Southern Sports says, good to have some proper cricket to listen to. Surprised Hampshire are batting in view of recent weather conditions. It certainly looks that way, but as we mentioned a few minutes ago, that this wicket is quite white, and if this weather improves today, as looks likely, then yes, it is all about getting through these first couple of hours or so, and then I don't think Hampshire want to give the initiative away. I think they want to start strong. Weatherly leaves alone outside the off stump.
Perhaps working on what happened at the Aegeus. What's called the Hampshire Bowl now? Why can't they call it the Rose Bowl? They don't in the World Cup. I don't understand that. It's the problem with sponsorship, I understand.
Yeah.
So why can't they go back to calling it the Rose Bowl rather than the Hampshire Bowl in the World Cup?
I have absolutely no idea.
No, that's an odd one. Because that's the original name of the ground, but that's
isn't.
not a sponsorship name, is it?
It's never been called the Hampshire
Anybody knows
Bowl,
the answer to that, please let me know, because that's been sort of troubling me.
Yeah, or if you don't know the answer and you can think of a quirky
Yes.
answer, just let us know. As that's played a missed. That ball's just nipped away off the seam to Weatherly. Not a lot he could do about that. Good bowling from Sam Cook, especially to finish off that over. 3 without loss then, Hampshire, who have made the one change, and Nyrin Donald in for Ollie Soames.
Yes, and the only other game going on that starts today is actually not that far away from here, which is at Radlett, which is just off the 414, the Trans-Hertfordshire Express, as they call it. And but they've got no play before lunch there, so it's the curse of the outground. And I think a lot of Essex members perhaps sort of maybe thinking it would be nice if Essex could play at the odd outground, but in fact this has probably so far not been the summer to do so, because obviously when you do get bad weather, it does have a disproportionate effect on the outgrounds in terms of certainly the drying out.
Yeah. Jamie Porter then to start over number 3. Falls to the left-hander Alsop, pushes forward up to mid-off. So if you had a game away, where would you play at the moment?
If we had away from Chelmsford, well, the most recent venue to have been used is Colchester. That's not been used in the last couple of years. Of course, there was talk about playing T20 games at the Olympic Stadium. That's gone onto the back burner. And of course, the other previous venues were 2 at Southend. The one that was light was South Church Park. Garran Park was less favoured by the members, and of course Ilford, which is a sort of great catchment area for Essex cricketers.
Porter to Allsop, left alone outside the off stump. Did why no Colchester anymore then?
Well, it's to do with costs, I understand, in terms of the cost of taking a game to an outground. I know this year, because there have been so many outgrounds used particularly by the World Cup hosting counties, obviously it stood out a little bit that Essex haven't been using any. And in fact, we made a little quip a couple of weeks ago, but they could have had a hat-trick of Newports had they played there recently. I'll come back to that in a moment.
Porter into Allsop, drives, doesn't time it, sort of trickles back to the bowler.
Because of course Hampshire played at Newport, Isle of Wight, after Glamorgan had played an outground at Newport. And there is a Newport between Bishop Stortford and Saffron Walden, which is in Essex, and could have been made a hat-trick, but that idea never got off the ground. I don't know what sort of ground facilities they've got there, or whether they've got a cricket ground, but no, it just sort of sums up the fact that it stood out a bit that Essex haven't had one, but it has been an exceptional year.
Yeah. Porter bowls, Allsop for drives, thick outside edge, past gully, along the ground, safe. It may go over the rope, or it may stop up just in front. It does, actually. It stops about 2 feet in front of the rope. That will show you just how much rain there's been around, because that ball looked as though it was going to go all the way. 3 runs to Allsop, and it's 6 without loss. So
to come for Hampshire, they've got Rahane. Of course, I suspect he's got his TV screen on in the dressing room. He'll be interested in what's going on India, Pakistan. But hopefully, from Hampshire's point of view, he won't want to. He'll be happy to miss quite a lot of the game today. if that comes to the point where he's spending most of his time in the middle, that's what Hampshire fans will be hoping.
I'm sure you can watch the highlights later.
Yes.
Here comes Porter bowls to Weatherly. Weatherly gets right on the pad. That looks close. He's gone. I think Weatherly knew as well. It didn't bounce very much. It certainly wasn't going over the top. It looked as though it might just have nipped back a fraction. And Weatherly is the first man to go. He goes for 2, and the total is 6 for 1.
Yeah. Just a question. It certainly nipped back whether it was going to do too much, but umpire in the end had no hesitation and decided that Weatherly would have to go on his way, and that's a blow for Hampshire. We're talking about Rahane. If he was watching that Indian opening partnership, then he won't be watching it for much longer, because he'll be on his way out to the middle. But yes, Weatherly has been in the runs recently, so that's a blow for Hampshire early on, just nipping back from Jamie Porter, and it is quite a bold decision to bat first here by Hampshire, and they'll need to make sure that they don't lose too many wickets in this morning session. You feel this is a difficult morning to negotiate with the rain that's been around, the overheads still quite heavy cloud cover, and it might be that the decision was partly based on the fact that there's no Peter Siddle, but they've got Jamie Porter and Sam Cook to contend with, and then Aaron Beard to follow. Just might be in Hampshire's thinking that the Peter Siddle absence is part of the reasoning why they've decided to take the gamble of batting first, but so far Essex will be pleased with that early wicket, and good delivery from Jamie Porter, just doing enough to beat the forward shot of Joe Weatherly.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the last 2 games here actually in the Championship, which Essex won, and they batted first both times, and I'm just wondering if that might have been a factor as well, where the kind of, the initiative has been grabbed by Essex in those last 2 games. It might have been further back than that, but that's the only details I've got.
You look at the pitch, and it looks like one of those pitches to just bat through the morning and try and take advantage in the afternoon. But here's a crucial figure in the absence of Vince, and obviously Markram, who Rahane has replaced. And certainly Markham has much more success with Hampshire than he has with South Africa so far in the World Cup. But Rahane, a key figure here.
Just doing 1 or 2 exercises, and he's ready to face up to Jamie Porter. 6 for 1 then. Weatherly gone. Here's Porter bowls to Rahane. Rahane pushes out to the ground square on the offside. That'll be the end of the over. Paul Williams at Solent Sport. Morning to you. He says, morning all. Glad that player's underway and wickets looks pretty dry. Watching you on the tablet. Is this on live feed, by the way, by the Essex Cricket?
Yes, it will be.
Website?
Hopefully, yeah. We've got all our leads in and everything, so he's obviously watching us.
Yep, there you go. Watching you on the tablet, and India versus Pakistan on the TV. My word, great to have cricket again. Will Donald bat in the top 4, as it would be better to have an all-rounder. Well, Donald is number 6 on the scorecard. So my suggestion would be that. Actually, I must admit initially when I realised that Ollie Soames wasn't playing, I thought Donald might open, but that's obviously not the case. Ralph Brooker at Solent Sport as Sam Cook runs away from us round the wicket to Allsop down the leg side. He says if it wasn't for the rain, I'd be listening to the commentary. This India versus Pakistan game, though, is a tournament showpiece. Is done. He says Shane is done. Actually, I just want 2 people on social media saying that Pakistan were already sort of showing signs that maybe they're struggling against India.
I just feel the World Cup needs a great game. I thought we might have one yesterday, but unfortunately Sri Lanka fell in a heap. Yeah.
It's Cook again, left alone, bit of bounce outside the off stump, or left by Tom Allsop. Di Davis at Solent Sports says not the only Anaya in here today. Obviously there's another one on the ground. It's obviously not Di, because that's Di Davis, unless his middle name is Anaya. If it is, great. Richard Shelley at Solent Sports says strange team, would certainly prefer to see Berg in the side before Fuller. Not sure about the choice to bat first, would have preferred to see Kyle Abbott and Fidel Edwards based on the weather conditions, but not having seen the pitch. Well, as I say, we said it's fairly wide. Drive from Allsop, half stopped by Sam Cook, takes the sting out of the shot. It's running down towards deepish mid-off. Chandra Sharta runs towards it, throws it back, and they'll complete 2, 8 for 1.
And thank you, Mark Charlton, for pointing out, because I was not quite sure if there is indeed a Newport Cricket Club. They play at the recreation ground, Franbury Lane. Not sure about the facilities, however. Good start for Essex. Let's hope they can capitalise on this start from an Essex point of view. Thanks a lot, Mike and Pudsey.
So Newport in Franbury Lane, where's that again? Just Allsop pushes it out square on the offside.
So Newport, I think, is basically sort of north of Bishop Stortford, which is officially in Hertfordshire. Sort of not far away from the M11 corridor, if you think about that. But I just thought of Newport as Essex doing the hat trick of Newports. It never quite materialised, but that maybe one day.
A large village in Essex near Saffron Walden.
Yeah.
There you go. Population of just over 2,000. There's Sam Cook. That's a length ball, and also pushes well forward up towards mid-on.
But it is obviously something that Essex members think about and regret the fact that there is no outground cricket at the moment. I think it's just sort of an issue that's been brought to the fore a bit this year because so many outgrounds have been used. But of course the exceptional circumstances are with the World Cup hosting clubs having to sort of rotate their fixtures. So for example, Trent Bridge was being used for the World Cup while Notts played Hampshire at Worksop, or tried to.
Sam Cook to Allsop, pushes forward up to mid-off this time, fielded by Tender Scarter. First mentioned in the Doomsday Book. Newport?
Oh right.
Yeah.
Right. So it's got enough history to get again.
It?
The Essex side today, by the way, if you've just joined us on BBC Essex and BBC Radio Solent, Brown, Cook, Wesley, Lawrence, Bopara, Tender Scarter, and then Adam Wheater playing against Hampshire, and of course that early injury really affected Essex in the 50 overs, I think. More than anything else, his ability to come in the engine room with the batting and force the pace. They've missed his batting, missed his keeping, and very good to see him bat. I think the other keepers have done well, but they haven't been able to emulate Wheater as a batsman. That's the key difference.
So who have you been using? I know Will Butterman played the last game, didn't he? As Porter bowls. Oh, and he's edged, he's gone. Rahani has gone. Little faint tickle behind. Rahani goes for no score. Hampshire now 8 for 2.
Yeah, he's getting a little bit of movement, Porter. Bold decision to bat first by Hampshire, and at the moment threatening to be undone by Porter. I wonder if the absence from Siddle is the deciding thing that made them think we'll take this gamble. But at the moment, Porter in conditions where obviously the pitch has been under cover a lot, a little bit of movement for him, and he's just drawn the outside edge of Rahani, who will indeed have quite a lot of time now to watch that World Cup game where his side are doing very well. But that is a massive blow for Hampshire at this early stage, and Essex will be delighted with this, because they certainly know the importance. If they're going to have any prospect at all of getting anywhere near Somerset, they've got to win this game and then got to beat Somerset. A draw against Somerset particularly is no good. So they made a good start. It's the next game here.
Well, if you win this one and
beat Somerset,
Yeah, but even if you draw against Somerset?
I think they'll be too far away, because Somerset are just 50 points clear already, Somerset. I know they've played a game more, but I just think they've got to get sort of more within striking distance. I think they've probably got to win this game and the next one, and then it will be a different story, because they'll be right on Somerset's, potentially right on Somerset's tail then. But I think that they couldn't have hoped for a better start than this one, Kevin.
No, that's for sure. Good old Chelmsford. Anyway, here's, I guess, one of the men that made this decision about batting first, Sam Northeast. I suppose you have to say, really, in this situation, that he better get a few runs. Just to say, look, guys, that's why I batted first.
Yeah, I honestly think Somerset will be, regardless of the result of this game, I think Somerset might even sort of take a draw here, high-scoring draw, because the way they're going, Somerset, it's where they're going to lose games. The way they're playing, they're able to loan players out to other counties, even to one of their championship rivals, Yorkshire.
Yeah.
But I just think if Essex could win this game and the next one, they're going to be right in it.
Comes Porter to Sam Northeast, pushing forward up towards mid-off. Second most runs in Division 1, Sam Northeast. Could do with a few here. I think the feeling in the Hampshire camp is, look, things have gone Somerset's way virtually all season, which may continue, to be honest. But we've still got more than half the season left.
Yeah.
And it's still a long way to go. And will they always continually have the rub of the green between now and the end of September? Might do, but then again they might not. Here comes Porter, bowls. Northeast drives into the ground, fielded by Porter on his follow-through.
Yes, I mean, I can take the point that particularly, if they win this and draw against Somerset, then potentially they're only about sort of 30 odd points behind, something like that, 28, 30 points. But it's just the momentum that Somerset have got, and I think from an Essex point of view, they'd much rather have Essex sort of 6 or 7 points behind, which of course, or maybe 10 points behind. But yeah, it's a long way to go.
Here comes Porter's bowls. Northeast drives, doesn't time it, goes out in front of point, fielded by Bopara. Oliver Welsh at Sun Sports says hopefully Hampshire can rebuild after this poor start. 2 wickets down already. Says that's right. It's not a great start.
No, and we're looking to try and sort of get some sort of foothold in this innings. They might be rather fearful of Essex taking a hatful of wickets this morning, and the absence of Peter Siddle not really being felt. I just wonder whether that might have come into the thinking, Kevin, with batting first.
Well, yeah, it's one idea. As Northeast pushes that length ball out on the offside, I perfectly subscribe to that. I also think that, as I say, because of their poor record here, I think they probably felt that Essex could grab the initiative early on if they got through the first couple of hours, and then Hampshire would be on the back foot again. Whereas, okay, you risk a couple of hours here, but then maybe Hampshire can have the initiative for once here. It's been a long time.
They haven't got it at the moment, that's for sure.
Ooh, no. 8 for 2 as Porter comes in and bowls. It's Foolish, and Northeast pushes that up to mid-on. That'll be the end of the over.
Yeah, so not the start that Hampshire wanted, but Jamie Porter, we're very pleased with his start here, getting Weatherly, LBW, and then Rahani caught behind. Couldn't be much better from the Essex perspective after they were perhaps surprised that Hampshire didn't want to elect their right to field, and it would have been interesting, of course, what Essex would have done had Essex won the toss. That's what really would have told us, I guess, a lot about their thinking. As it was, Hampshire elected to have a toss and duly won it, but so far Essex have the upper hand.
Start of a new over from Sam Cook. I'm just looking at my weather app here, because I'm looking at some dark clouds that are coming as that's pushed up to mid-on, and my weather app is saying 80% chance of rain around about now. Yeah,
there's basically more showers in the forecast until lunchtime, and then we've got a better afternoon, so it could be that we are going to have some more interruptions this morning, and then generally I think a better forecast for the afternoon.
It could be here till about 7, 8 o'clock then.
Could be, yes. If the sun comes out a little bit.
Yeah, lovely. Here comes Cook. Free slips in a gully. Oh, Sop leaves that alone. That's nipped back as well. That's quite close to the off stump.
But I certainly think that Essex aren't. No, I don't think they'll be relegated, but I don't think they're out of the championship race, because they've got these couple of wins at Chelmsford. If they can make Chelmsford a bit of a fortress and try and win as many games as possible here. They've not been great away from home yet, and then they've got potentially more appealing away games, Trent Bridge, and then playing Warwickshire at Worcester.
Got to cash in against Warwickshire. He's driving Court Gully. Oh, he pushed out at that one. It wasn't quite a half volley. And in the end, it was snappered quite comfortably about stomach height in the gully. And Allsop becomes the third wicket to fall this morning. Hampshire 8 for 3.
Well, at the moment, we've got to say this decision, which was a bold one, to bat first, has completely misfired. See that trying to do it as a positive move, but there's been a bit of movement out there, and that was a forcing shot and nicely snaffled in the gully. And you have to say that it's a long way back from Hampshire now in this innings, particularly having lost the big wicket of Rahane, and of course there's no Vince, no Dawson, so they've got a lot of early problems here. And Sam Cook joining in the wickets. That's his ninth of the season. Jamie Porter now has 17 with a 2, but he's taken. And they'll be absolutely delighted with this start. Really couldn't be better. And David Brett is joining me for the first time. Morning, David. And Essex will be highly delighted. I mean, bold move by Hampshire, not paying off at the moment.
Not at the moment. Batting a little bit loose. Morning, everyone. Conditions seem to be helpful for the bowling.
Dan Lawrence in the gully, fairly straightforward catch. Just a bit of movement from Cook, forcing shot, and basically flying away off a thickish edge and into the gully's hands.
At the moment, I don't think you're going to get that close game in the World Cup.
No, I mean, as I say, 136 for no wicket in the 24th over, so they're heading for 350 Indian. I think there might be too many for Pakistan.
Well, it's been a horrible start for
so 8 for 3. Remarkable start. Riley Russo, how will he play at 8 for 3? Because we know the way he normally plays, but this is a championship match, and the Hampshire are desperate to get some sort of foothold in this day's proceedings, and they haven't got there yet. So it's going to be Cook. He's got that wicket, and at the moment Porter and Cook look like going to more than make up for the absence of Peter Siddle, which might have been the sort of potential carrot that has led Hampshire down the wrong path in terms of their decision, basically not to have the uncontested toss. Here is Cook bowling, and that's all. That one has just pushed away into the onside by Russo, but there was a stifled shout, because I think Cook was thinking that with Russo going across his crease, if that thudded into the pad, then there would have been a very big shout indeed for LBW. But this is a dream start for Essex. We mentioned Essex 50 points ahead, adrift of Somerset, and 24 adrift of Hampshire. This is a loose stroke here from Russo. Playing like Russo does. He was trying to crash that away through the covers, but there's a bit of movement out there, and he's played a miss about outside the off stump, and it's gone through to Wheater. So Bull doing quite a lot at the moment. You feel there could be more wickets before lunch. Lunch due at 1:10 past.
I wonder if that got slight under edge, just the way that Wheater actually took that.
Yes, it could well have done. Cook comes up to the wicket, bowls, and it's another loose drive from Russo. He is playing as if it's 180 for 3 rather than 8 for 3, and
has anyone
played
told
a
him
miss at that.
Has anyone told him it's not a T20 game?
No, it is the way he plays, and in that recent Lord's final, his little cameo was the one moment of brightness for Hampshire. When he got out, a lot of Hampshire's hopes went. But so far, it has to be said that Hampshire, who don't tend to enjoy playing on this ground, are not enjoying it much at the moment. It's been a tremendous start for Essex. 2 wickets for Porter and 1 for Cook, and they've got Hampshire 8 for 3 after 6 overs.
Wahabri has just got a wicket.
Yes, not before time. Here is Porter then. 2 wickets to his name already. 3 slips in the gully. He bowls, and that's driven by northeast away for probably 2, being chased by Beard back towards the deep mid-wicket boundary, but it's a slow outfield, and so therefore what would normally have been 2 is actually slowed up and has been gathered in by mid-on, and they've only got the 1 run, and the last thing they can afford at the moment is a potential run out. So 9 for 3 Hampshire, and now it's going to be Russo against Porter, and Porter would probably trade 2 boundaries for a wicket here.
I was going to say, on his current performance, you'd expect Hampshire to be 4 down very shortly, but let's see how he goes here.
If he's still batting this afternoon, Russo, it could be a different story, but
Absolutely.
the odds against that, the way he started, given the conditions. 3 slips in the gully, just the way he plays, and he plays a lovely stroke through mid-on for 4. That's between the bowler and Tender Scarter at mid-on, and bisected them perfectly. It was just slightly over pitch, but it was a beautiful shot, and he's got it away for 4. It's just started to drizzle again, and again this is working against Hampshire, the fact that they've got these awkward conditions to bat in. And to say, we do have more rain on the radar. Let's have a quick look at our latest radar to see what it's saying, but it's basically suggesting that we could get showery outbreaks during the morning as Porter bowls, and Russo has an appeal for LBW. Was that bat onto pad? I think it might have been.
It sounded woody.
Yeah. Possible drizzle, it says, for the Essex County Ground, and that actually is going to extend beyond lunch, looking at the latest of one of our weather radars. So still a potential for a little bit of rain around, and saying that we might get rain in the next half hour, and then again a little bit after that, so just the occasional drier interlude. But it's really one of those days where you feel you're better off bowling than batting, but Hampshire have chosen to bat, and they're 13 for 3. Here's Porter going round the wicket from the Hayes close end, bowls to Russo, and that beats him outside the off stump. He was just playing a defensive shot there, just beaten by a genuinely good delivery, and Porter very much in his element. Do you think that the Siddle absence might have been the sort of like the sort of the stray factor that's led Hampshire down this path? Thinking if we can get past Porter and Cook, then it might be a worth batting first.
Possibly. The wicket looks good though as well.
Yeah.
Maybe they also thought, bearing in mind how they performed in the first game of the season,
That's right.
get some runs on the board and put Essex under pressure.
Which at the moment they're not looking as though they're going to be able to do, as Russo plays a good looking drive away through mid-wicket. Bopara is there running around from deep square leg. Interesting field position there for Bopara. He cut it down to 1, but he's actually 13 for 3. He's actually out there in the deep, and that's the Russo factor, thinking that maybe they can just tempt him into the aerial shot, even at this strange position from Hampshire's point of view, where you wouldn't expect an ambitious shot. But Russo being Russo, Bopara was deliberately deep there at square leg, but that was along the ground rather than in the air. 14 for 3. Here is Porter again, and comes in, bowls outside the off stump, and northeast leaves alone. So this is a big partnership for Hampshire, having lost Rahane cheaply, and really they can't afford to lose too many more wickets before what will be a delayed lunch at 10 past 1. Tea will be at 4 o'clock. India 138 for 1 in the 25th over, and here at Chelmsford, Hampshire, who chose to bat after 7 overs, are 14 for 3 with 5 to Russo and 1 to northeast.
He's looking very svelte, is Ravi Bopara. I noticed it the other week when I interviewed him. I don't know if he's lost a few pounds.
Here's Cook up to the wicket, round the wicket bowls, and here just straying onto the pads of Russo, and Russo is able to just work it away just round the corner for a single, and the throw comes back to Wheater. Good to see Adam Wheater back.
I say that because just that last bit of fielding he did off Russo's shot into the deep there, he leathered after it, good sliding stop, leapt up onto his feet and got the throw in very quickly. Looking very athletic.
So no Peter Siddle today, and Aaron Beard in the side. Adam Wheater has returned, and this one sees northeast just coming forward to Cook and playing it up towards Porter. And there is no run. Porter there fielding at mid-off. There are 3 slips in a gully. Nick Brown is in there at cover. And now got a little bit of a swap round actually. Got Tender Scarter going to mid-off, and Porter's now mid-on. Bopirate's square leg, and here is the next delivery, just right up to the batsman northeast. He just negotiates it comfortably out into the offside, hoping that any movement that there is for Cook and Porter at the moment will fall away as the day goes on. But Hampshire a lot of rebuilding to do here after this pretty disastrous start.
Well, the Essex bowlers so far have been pretty accurate, haven't they? Not too many loose balls to hit.
Very good indeed. Here's Cook going over the wicket and bowling to northeast, who just gets one a little bit short. Plays a lovely cut shot away down to the wide third man boundary for 4. That was just a bit short. It allowed northeast to go onto the back foot, and he played it away very nicely indeed. And Hampshire with a couple of boundaries, looking a little bit better at 19 for 3, but a long way to go. And we are going to go off because we've got a shower of rain now, which is starting to fall. So I imagine we're going to have another delay now, and I think there's a fair chance if this is any sort of delay to proceedings that we might have the early lunch. But just to recap what has been happening so far, Hampshire won the toss and chose to bat. Then we had a delay of about 40 minutes for drizzle.
And welcome back to the County Ground in Chelmsford for the resumption of play in this morning session between Essex and Hampshire. Remember, Hampshire won the toss, elected to bat. They're in a bit of trouble, 19 for 3. Myself, David Brett. Nick Hill will be joining us a little bit later, and Kevin James from BBC Radio Solent. Yeah, it's been a bit of an in-out morning for the cricketers. There's been a bit of drizzle about, been on and off the pitch. We're just about to come back on when the rain sets in again, but amazingly, we have clear blue sky above us. With all the weather that's about, we've got a really sunny session to finish with. So what do we got? Around about 20 minutes to lunch. The players are back out on the field. Essex obviously keen to get underway, having had Hampshire at 8 for 3. And yeah, they've made good hay this morning, have Essex. Kevin, were you slightly surprised by Hampshire's decision to bat this morning?
Oh, listen, I am and I'm not. I think I'll be interested to find out the reasons tonight when I speak to the Hampshire camp. But I mean, it could be one of several. I mean, I know Nick is very pro the fact that Peter Siddle isn't playing.
Cook's going to finish off his over. That's from the river end. He bowls, and that's just played away outside the off stump to the man at cover, who's Tender Scarter. There's no run.
I think that's one reason. I think another is that the wicket here is whitish in colour, and as I put on the BBC text service online, you don't always see a wicket that colour here. It's normally nearer the rest of the square in colour. And the other reason for me, which probably is one of the main reasons.
Here comes Cook again, number 16 on his back. That's full edged, and that's way past gully and backward point and through to the third man boundary for 4 runs. So he gets away with that one, does North East. That's his first real loose stroke of this morning. He's been pretty solid as wickets have been falling around him. And the score is 23 for 3 at the end of the over.
The other reason I think is that Hampshire have an unbelievably poor record here over the last 2 or 3 seasons, 4 seasons, in all forms of cricket, and I'm wondering whether they felt this morning, look, they know the first couple of hours is going to be horrendous, and so has proved, but I'm wondering if they think because of the wicket, the colour of the wicket and the nature of the weather getting better as the day goes on, that they didn't want to give Essex the chance of having a firm foothold in the game if they got through the early period of play, and Hampshire would have been behind the 8 ball like they normally are here. I think they wanted to grab the game by the scruff of the neck and say, look, let's just get through these early few overs, and then who knows what afterwards. At least we might be able to control the game. They certainly don't look as though they're going to from here.
Porter coming down the hill, bowls to Russo, defends back up the pitch. Russo came out, well, playing like he was in a T20, didn't he?
He
First
does.
couple of shots trying to smash the ball away through the offside. Almost got himself out, but got away with it. He's currently on 6, North East on 9, Hampshire 23 for 3, which marks a bit of a recovery considering they were 8 for 3.
Oh gosh, yes, it does, doesn't it? No, it's the way he plays. I mean, the one thing with Russo.
As wind picks up as Porter comes in again. That's turned away into the leg side, just off the thigh pad into the mid-wicket region, and it's fielded by Essex, and a run to the total, 24 for 3.
He sometimes needs something different in the game to actually make him knuckle down. Now, I'm not saying that coming in at 8 for 2 isn't that situation, but this is a kind of a situation where you might just see the other side of Russo generally, where it's a more restrained Riley Russo. Because normally with just normal games, he'll come out and just play it. Well, you say a T20, he'll play like a 10-10. It can be quite unbelievable at times the way he plays.
3 slips of gully, backward point, and a mid-off on the offside, and that's just defended by North East out into the offside. And it is that man at mid-off who fields, I think, is Aaron Beard. I haven't seen him so far this season. 24 for 3. Remember, a slight niggle for Peter Siddle, which is the reason why Siddle misses out today. I wonder if Siddle's got a slight outside chance of getting into the Ashes squad. He wouldn't be one of the main bowlers to start, but he wouldn't be a bad backup.
Right, isn't he? Patterson's only just coming back from injury, isn't he?
Sun still beating down as Porter comes in over the wicket, bowls to North East. It takes a big stride forward and defends into the offside, and it's another dot ball.
Siddle played last October, his last Test match, didn't he? So he hasn't been out of it for that long.
Yeah, he's been around for ages, hasn't he, Siddle? But he's still relatively young. and he's been bowling superbly for Essex.
34.
Yeah.
Still a couple of years left in the old boy, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. A lot of heart, Peter Siddle. A nice fella as well, as that one's back of a length, guided away through the offside, past the man at gully. He's got to chase on down to the boundary. He's going to get there. I think that's Dan Lawrence. There's going to be at least two. They might come back for a third. No, the slide comes in. Throw comes in to the wicket. That's a good bit of fielding by Lawrence, charging after it, and then just keeps Hampshire for 2. That's 26 for 3.
Now, I have to say, with my Hampshire hat on here, I'm pleased to see the ball travelling over the outfield, because I have to say, I think the ground staff have been very, very keen and eager to get the players out there as quickly as possible, almost to the point I would think that they've had some sort of direction.
I would suggest they did have some sort of direction.
I think they've been told to get those covers off pretty smartish, almost to the detriment, really, I think, of having the surrounding areas probably wetter than they should be.
Porter in bowls to north-east, and this one's guided down towards mid-on, and there's no run.
Because when we looked like we were going to start at 1:45, there was another shower of rain, and there was absolutely no effort to get any covers on. In fact, for me, and I don't know the ground as well as other people like yourself and the ground staff and what have you, but for me, I think they took the covers off quite early. A bit too early, because there was still a lot of cloud around. And there was a heavy shower, which, apart from the roll-on covers, would have actually fallen on totally the rest of the outfield now, which means it's pretty close in as well. So I think this is damper than otherwise it would be, and if the ball is travelling over, even if it's just going to the cover fielders, the guys saving one on the leg side, it's going to get damp very quickly.
Cook from the river end up the slope, and he bowls right arm round to Rousseau. Oh, that's beaten the batsman. All ends up coming forward, trying to defend that back to the bowler. And it just nips away off the pitch through to the wicket keeper, and there's no run. We don't get a huge amount of rain around these parts, and the ground tends to dry quite quickly. So a calculated gamble probably from the Essex ground staff, and if they have had a word from the dressing room as well. Here comes Cook again, number 16, round the stumps, bowls on the pads. That's defended into the leg side this time by Rousseau, the left-hander, and there's no run.
Oh, listen, I don't blame them. I mean, if this would be in a different position down at the Aegeus Bowl, I'm sure Hampshire would be literally standing on the edges of the rope, itching to get back out in the middle. So I don't blame them at all. I just thought, in some ways, it was probably a little bit too obvious. They were desperate to get out there.
Sweeping clouds coming over the ground, but still sunshine about. That's 4. Oh, that's a thick inside edge into the leg side. That's going down towards deep mid-wicket. It's going to be a couple of runs as the throw comes in from Lawrence. He wasn't in control of that shot, though, Rousseau. And the bowler with his hands on his head on his follow-through. 28 for 3.
Still doing plenty. Richard Shelley at Southern Sport says, Kev, your last reason for batting first, Hampshire's record of losing early wickets would go against that thought, even in good conditions we lose early wickets most games. True.
Essex Shop Cricket at bbc.co.uk if you want to email in. What's your Twitter address, Kevin?
At Southern Sport. Shot. Ooh,
yeah, it's a lovely shot. Cook coming through, Fields on his follow-through. He's on his haunches on the pitch. Nice drive by Rousseau, but good stop by Cook off his own bowling. 28 for 3. And we had a lovely, was it a tweet through from Kevin's mum about Kevin being back on air? I thought it was really sweet. Lovely.
I joked about it coming from my mum. It would be almost impossible for it to come from my mum, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
But that was only a joke, yes. But it sounded like it could have come from her a few years ago. Thank you very much for even mentioning it to me. I know you'd be too embarrassed to read it out, so would I be.
Here comes Cook again. That's back of a length, and it's defended down the pitch to mid-off, and Tenduscarter fields, and another dot ball. Sun's just popped behind the cloud. We're going to get a bit of that for the next hour or so, but this afternoon the weather is supposed to be much, much better, which means, luckily for us, we'll be here to around about 7:30, 8 o'clock tonight.
I can't wait. I know you never like to get away early days, do you?
No, absolutely not. No, I'm one for sticking around till the bitter end. Here comes Cook, bowls full. That's driven in the air and over the man at mid-off. Cleared Tenduscarter. Nice strike by Rousseau, taking some risks. I was going directly towards Tenduscarter, but got enough elevation on it and down towards the mid-off boundary for 4 runs, 32 for 3 at the end of the 10th over.
Well, that was a push drive, really, wasn't it? Really, I don't know if the ball stuck in the turf there a little bit. I mean, it didn't clear Tendescata by lots, and it wasn't one of Rousseau's full-blooded shots, which you normally see from him. I don't know if that was a slight mistake on his behalf.
Yes, possibly. Didn't mean to drive so far on the up on that one.
No.
But it did the job, got to the boundary, and Rousseau's just putting a bit of pressure back on the boulders here. He's 13.
Makes a change for Rousseau to be doing that.
Now. Here comes Porter from the Hayes close end, right arm over bowls to northeast, the right hander who drives back to the bowl. Look at fielding on the bounce by the number 44, Porter. So whereabouts are you staying this time?
I'm staying more in Chelmsford this time. I would say the team is down in Brentwood, and I've stayed there in the last few seasons. I just got a bit fed up of driving, if I'm honest, even though that's, 20 minutes away?
Yeah.
So I'm staying more in Chelmsford now, just because I can't be bothered to keep driving.
Porter, right arm over to northeast, inside edge into the leg side. It's fielded. Oh no, bit of a misfield. No, scoot through for a single. It's Nick Brown. Bit of sloppy fielding there from the Essex opener. 33 for 3. Yes, nice walk through the park on the way in.
No, I came up this morning.
No. But do you know where you're staying?
Yeah, I'm up at the top end somewhere.
Right.
As you come into Chelmsford from the the A12.
Towards where BBC Essex is.
Yeah, past that. Yeah. I'll tell you what was really nice this morning coming up. Just as I joined the A12 off the M27, I sat in behind about 6 or 7 Ford Mustangs.
Oh, lovely.
In a row.
Porter, right arm round to Rousseau. Whips other way through the leg side. There's 2 fielders out in the deep. It's the man at fine leg that's going to get there. It's Cook with the throw. He comes back for 2 though. And certainly the scoreboard is now ticking over, 35 for 3.
So I don't know if there's a car rally near here somewhere, but yeah, they're all. I just sat in behind them because I do quite like that car. I'm sure you do. Not that I can afford to get one, but just to hear the engines go along the A12, and every now and then they would just rev it up a bit.
Are they classic?
It was great.
Classic Mustangs or?
They were fairly new, all of them actually.
Yeah, lovely car, the Mustang. Porter coming down the slope from the Hayes close end, bowling to Rousseau, the left-hander, and that's thick inside edge. That's going to go down towards Cook on the fine leg boundary, and that's just going to be a single as the throw comes into Adam Wheater, and Nick Gledhill's going to rejoin us. You've got an update to do, haven't you, Nick?
Yeah, very shortly. So positive intent from these two. Essex would deal another wicket before lunch. Been a very good morning for them, but the weather is changing now quite quickly, isn't it?
It is. The sun has gone back behind the cloud, but I think we'll be fine for the rest of the day. Touch wood. Porter coming right arm over to northeast, who's on strike, and that's a full length delivery, almost Yorker length. It's dug out by northeast down towards mid on, and there's no run. 36 for 3. Plenty in today. It's good to see. 4,000 in for the women's one-day international last week, which is thoroughly impressive, and congratulations to everyone who came along to support.
Yeah.
Porter turns again, tossing the ball between his 2 hands, and he's running in now, arms jutting out up to the stumps, right arm over, bowls to northeast, who pushes again into the offside, this time Bapara fields at cover, and that is the end of the over. 11 gone, 36 for 3. Rousseau on 16 and northeast on 12. Sun is back out again.
Yes, it's actually looking as though it's going to be a relatively pleasant afternoon after a morning of squally showers. The wind actually dropping and then rising again, and at the moment it's sort of just trees just gently swaying in the breeze, but it has got up quite a lot and has dropped back as well, but quite breezy. Temperature around about 18-19 degrees, and Essex certainly very pleased with what has happened this morning. So it'd be a huge bonus to get rid of one of these 2 in the 2 overs to go before lunch probably.
Yeah, remember lunch has been delayed till 10 past 1 due to the rain interruptions. Late start as well. Didn't start till just gone 11:30 this morning. Cook continuing from the river end bowls, and that's on the pads of Rousseau, and he just works its way down towards deep backward square leg. They'll come back for a second run as well. Good running between these 2. keen to get things going for Hampshire, 38 for 3. It's been a pretty good recovery so far.
Yeah, it's a long way for them to go. They've played positively. Just a few better signs for Hampshire. Yeah, it's been a lively morning. Hampshire deciding that they wanted to bat on a showery, cloudy morning here, and they've gone to 36 for 3, just about 2 overs short of a delayed lunch at 1:10 but they were a lot worse off at one point at 8 for 3 after 2 wickets for Jamie Porter. He struck with the 5th ball of his second over with Weatherly LBW for 2, and then with the 1st ball of his next over he had the wicket of the Indian Test player Rahane, caught behind by Wheater for a duck. The other wicket going to Sam Cook. He had Tom Alsop caught in the gully by Lawrence for 6, but a bit of a recovery now between North East and Rousseau. About 5 minutes to go before lunch, and Hampshire are 38 for 3.
Well, you just missed an astonishing bit of fielding there. I thought that was a 4 all the way. A lovely cover drive from Rousseau. It was racing down the hill, and I mentioned before how svelte Ravi Bopara's looked this season. Charged after it, managed to sweep it back inside the rope and restricted them to just 3, so saved a run for Essex. 41 for 3, and Bopara's been lively in the field this morning. Here comes Cook again, right arm over, up to the stumps, and that's driven down the pitch but straight to the man at mid-off. Tender Scarter fields, and it's a dot ball. 41 for 3. Good bit of fielding that from Bopara.
I missed it.
Yeah, it was amazing. I was sure that was going to be 4 all the way from Rousseau's drive, because Bopara's man standing at cover halfway between the wicket and the boundary, and he managed to haul it back in.
Yeah. Mind you, anything any of the Essex players do gets warmly applauded here, doesn't it? I mean, they've only got to pull out their hanky and blow their nose, and the crowd applaud that, don't they?
Here comes Cook, back of a length, and on his toes, North East just pushes out into the offside, and there's no run. Depends what the contents of the hanky is, though, I suppose. 41 for 3.
I love this one from Nick Jenkins at Solent Sport. He says, "Morning, chaps." He says, "Enjoying the live feed as usual, but at lunch, could you ask someone to wipe the camera lens, as it looks like you've got fog patches at the ground?" That'll be the Essex cricket feed, with which I presume you guys have absolutely no
control over. No. We just unfortunately supply the commentary.
Yeah.
As Cook comes in, number 16, up to the stumps, bowls, and that's full of length, and it's guided away past the man at gully and just inside the man at backward point, so it'll just be a single to the total. 42 for 3. Yeah, but it's a handy bit of kit these days. Lots of people keeping up online. I can actually see some live cricket with a bit of commentary over the top. You can obviously choose to turn down the commentary if you...
Was that what they do up there?
I think so.
Don't they have it on loud down south?
Yeah, we'll find out what was going on around the back. They're thumping beats.
Is this something in the park behind
yeah.
us? No, must be.
Might take a look at lunch. Here comes Cook, right arm round, bowls to Rousseau, flips off the pads, and that's fielded at mid-on, keeps Rousseau on strike. Dot ball. In fact, sorry, that's the end of the over. 12 overs gone, 42 for 3.
As I say, I'm loving Riley. He can be infuriating at times, and Hampshire fans will know that sometimes he just gets out and you think, oh, what on earth was that? And that happens on many occasions. But there are certain times like this where the bowlers have been so far on top that it's actually quite a breath of fresh air to see somebody play the way he's doing. And actually, he's calmed it down, isn't he? He looked very, very shaky the first few balls. I mean, I know he hit a couple of boundaries, but I mean, he could have been out 2 or 3 times. But it's actually been much more measured, isn't he?
He's playing some proper cricket shots now. Here comes Porter down the slope, continuing from the Hayes close end. That's the back of a length. It gets North East defending on his toes out to the offside, and it's a dot ball. 42 for 3 in the 12th here on BBC Essex online, as well as BBC Radio Solent. Myself, David Brett, Kevin James, and after lunch, Nick Gledhill will be rejoining us. Looking forward to some probably curry. Generally is the usual state of play here.
Is that?
Unless you want to. Here comes Porter again. That's wide outside the off stump, left alone by North East. Unless you want to risk the burgers.
Curry seems a lot, actually. I had a curry last night, actually.
No. Oh.
So I'm not sure a curry today would be ideal.
Back home or?
Yeah, back in Southampton. Yeah. No, I came up this morning. I just got. I mean, you know, it's lovely. It's lovely doing these games, and I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it. But there's been a lot of away games. Hardly any time at home. And talking of lunch, I've got the media voucher, which is great. A lunch voucher.
Porter comes in, bowls to North East. That's almost through his defence. He defended away into the leg side, thick inside edge to Nick Brown at square leg at 42 for 3. Well,
so I just thought I had a bit of time at home last night. Really, I haven't had too many nights at home.
I don't want to ask.
No, it's because of the cricket. I mean,
Right,
it's
fine.
great. Don't get me wrong. It's good fun.
We've fallen out again. It's the bloody...
Give me that number.
It's 01386 42 9905.
Taking off for a while.
Just got a message.
Sorry about that. Welcome back to Chelmsford. Just had a bit of a power failure there. Full length delivery. Didn't miss too much. No runs scored so far as North East just pushed it out into the offside. Still 42 for 3. We're just getting to the salacious details of Kevin James's lack of nights at home. Thankfully, you missed all of the gory details. we won't need to repeat those. Anyway,
It was nothing more than the fact that Hampshire have played a lot of away games recently.
Here comes Porter. 3 slips in bowls, and that's left alone outside the off stump. And that is going to be lunch, I believe. Yes. No, we're going to get another over in.
Ooh, just, are we?
Okay, just snuck that one in. Well, I was going to suggest if you did want another curry tonight, I can recommend one of my favourite curry houses is down Moultrie Street, and they do at half price on a Sunday.
Do they?
And it's very, very nice. But if you've already had a curry, you might have one at lunch.
Curry last night, one at lunchtime, and one tonight.
Can never have too much curry.
Right. Could you do that? Have you done that?
Yeah, I did used to do that quite a bit. Yeah, especially because of that curry house.
Yeah. You've managed to refrain from naming them.
I wouldn't want to do it on the BBC. Plenty of good curry houses about. I will. I'll let you know off air. Especially when I went to India, it was curry, wall to wall curry. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Good.
Yeah, very good. Lots of good vegetarian curries out there as well. Right, so we can see an over as Simon Harmer before the lunch break. Rousseau just retaking his guard. Short leg. Strapping on the pads. There's Cook at slip, Alistair Cook at slip. Under the helmet, I think that might be Ryan Tenderscarter. Can't see his number, but I'm pretty sure that is. As Harmer comes in to Rousseau. Rousseau drives down the ground, mid-off full field. Porter coming in from the boundary. Oh, almost another slight misfield there. Doesn't cost any extra runs, 43 for 3.
Deep mid-off, eh? Over before lunch. 42 for 3.
And he's coming up now. So mid-off coming inside the circle. Mid-on is already inside the circle. Nick Brown's going to go out towards deep cover-ish. Well, sort of halfway between the wicket and the boundary. There's also, as this one clipped away into the leg side. Short leg, can't quite get it, but backward square leg fields, no run, 43 for 3.
Just when you think it might be calm before lunch, you bring a bloke on that's taken the third most wickets in Division 1.
Yeah, he's been good ever since he joined us, Simon Harmer. And he's in now. Number 11 on his back bowls really gives us some air and brings North East forward. Gets a bit tucked up inside edge onto pads and down into the pitch. And there's no run, 43 for 3. Had a superb game a couple of games ago where he carried Essex to victory. And he's pretty much been one of our best players for the last 3 years. That one's slightly shorter, a bit of turn, and North East backing away, cuts away but can't beat the man at point, and there's no run.
He's taken 30 wickets in the Championship so far this year, and amazingly in 2 games here he's taken 19 of them here.
Yeah, he bowls particularly well here. Harmer with his shades on comes in now, bowls, gets some air, it's down the leg side, and batsman had to be careful there not to overbalance. Wheater took it down the leg side, and North East just kept his ground.
Good take.
It was a good take, yeah. Essex have missed Adam Wheater. Good behind the stumps, but decent with the bat as well. Here comes Harmer again, bowls. A little bit fuller this time. That's a thick inside edge on the flick down towards the man at mid-wicket. That's the end of the morning session. It's been rain interrupted, so just the 14 overs in the morning session. Hampshire 43 for 3. The men at the crease, North East on 13. Rousseau.
It's going to be basically a 4 o'clock tee, and then essentially however long we need after that to get through to the close. Just having a look at the moment, we've got 70 overs remaining, so chances are the last session could be quite a long one. Kevin James is just digesting that bit of information, and then he's going, having digested it, he'll open the commentary. But yeah, I mean, Hampshire just got some sort of lunch a little bit easier for them than it might have been, say, at 12 o'clock, Kevin. They just need to now consolidate this afternoon and just need improving conditions. Just try and get themselves established in the game. Over to you.
Yeah, well, I'm just wondering how much maybe, even in that 20 minutes before lunch, with a wet outfield, how much the ball got a little bit softer.
Yeah, I think it might have done.
Yeah, which may yet prove to be a difficult afternoon for Essex, but at the moment they're in the driving seat as Porter's round the wicket to Russo, just pushes that good ball towards short mid-off, and there is no run. I mean, listen, these two played really well just before lunch, but I'm just wondering if that is indicative as to perhaps things getting easier already.
Yes, I'm sure want to make sure that they post a score, and then, I mean, in a way, if Hampshire back through the rest of the day and have the morning conditions tomorrow, that might be the best sort of scenario for them.
Well, if they bat the rest of the day, they'll have done tremendously well. His Porter's on the line of leg stump. It wraps Russo on the pad, goes down the leg side, picked up by Alan Wheater. Signal a leg by. First runs of the afternoon, 44 for 3.
So the email you're referring to was from Steve in Istanbul before lunch. He was welcoming you to the commentary box and basically offering commiserations for the first 10 overs, saying that Jamie Porter's risen to the occasion, taking over from Peter Siddle, who we understand is out for precautionary reasons. He's got a slight niggle, which can mean sort of anything really, but I think he's just been sort of rested as a precaution from this game to make sure he's fit for the Somerset one.
And I'm also wondering, as Porter bowls northeast, gets the thick outside edge, it's half stopped in the gully. In fact, it should have been completely stopped in the gully, but it wasn't. That's Dan Lawrence, and they'll come through for a single, 45 for 3. I'm just wondering maybe if Australia had a little hand in that. What do you think?
In terms of the Ashes?
In terms of Siddle, yeah.
Yes, that's it would be curious. I mean, obviously they're thinking about him potentially being in their Ashes lineup. It's quite difficult to get into it, looking at their bowling attack. But I suppose after Stark and Cummins, is Hazelwood, is he going to be in the equation?
Maybe. There's nice length delivery pushed up to mid-off by Russo. Because I mean, in Patterson is only feeling his way back still at the moment.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it might be they want him not to be over bowled before the Ashes start. So. But yes, that's why a slight niggle, I'd said deliberately, could mean anything. It could mean they've been directed. But no, let's take it at face value and say that the line that he's being rested ahead of quite an important group of championship games is the one that's true.
Here comes, because always the clubs point out is true, as that's clubbed wide of mid-on for 4. Short of a length. Stood up a little bit, but Russo, well, I mean, that's outrageous in 2020 cricket, let alone in this situation. 49 for 3.
Steve says, how much rain has been in the Chelmsford area before the game? Quite a lot during the course of the week. Steve, obviously you're in Istanbul, so not exactly on the doorstep, but it's been an exceptionally wet week in the UK. And certainly, although there would have been more play at Chelmsford in this last round of games had there been one here than at some other venues, it certainly would have been severely rain affected. It seems, is the pitch damp a little bit? Perhaps it was early on, yes.
I just think everywhere is, yeah. I don't think anywhere is a perfect batting pitch at the moment with the amount of rain that we've had. That's Fuller, and that's driven wide of mid-off, but there is a man there. And that will be the end of the over. Russo is 26, 14 to northeast, 49 for 3.
You make the reasonable point, but it seems strange for Hampshire to miss out on potential bowling strip, particularly bearing in mind what happened this time last week at Workstop, but obviously they've taken this decision to bat based on, I think, the way the pitch is playing now, actually, Kevin, is probably the basis of their decision.
Yeah.
And then you say, wait till both sides have batted before judging it. So we think it's a pretty good pitch, but conditions were loaded in favour of the bowlers first up.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. And Harmer, who's had a particularly successful time this season here, especially in the Championship, it's going to continue. Bothers the 1 over before lunch from the river end, our commentary end. He's going to be bowling to Sam Northeast. It's flighted, and that's cut away by Northeast. He's almost off the cut strip. In fact, he is off the cut strip as he hammers that away through the covers for 4.
Yes, and anything that's erring in line and length, the Hampshire batsmen are putting away. I think Russo's got the message here that this is not a day for a cameo 25. With 3 wickets going down quickly.
I don't know.
He's got the quality to actually play a major innings here, but Northeast settled down is clearly going to be a key man.
Yeah, short leg still in. Man on the drive as well. That's Lawrence on the leg side. Harmer was just about to bowl. I think it was a gust of wind.
A bit of rumour, of course, going around about Tom Wesley's future.
Yeah.
The club have played a very straight bat on that one, but of course Sam Northeast is someone who could talk to Tom Wesley about Kent.
Northeast tries to work on the leg side. Bounces taken by Wheater behind the stumps. Well, the club basically said nothing from what I read.
You occasionally get these stories, and sometimes you think there's potentially an element of truth. I remember when Will Jefferson left, I was fairly confident actually he would do. That was about 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah. Harmer bowls. It's on the line of leg stump. He's right on the pad. He's gone. Now I am fairly surprised at that, and I think Sam Northeast as well. Is that looked leg-sided? I think it bounced a bit. But the umpire has decided that Northeast has gone LBW. 18 he goes for, 53 for 4 now.
Yeah, that's a big blow for Hampshire, just as they were settling down. And actually Russo and Northeast continue to be in conversation. Russo's walked about halfway back to the pavilion in company with his captain. He won't go all the way back, but that is a blow. And as you say, that one couldn't be convinced it was going to hit leg stump. So a big blow for Hampshire just as that pair were getting established. They added 45, and Harmer's danger after bowling a pretty innocuous delivery to Northeast really just being underlined.
Billy Taylor, the man that gave that decision. I mean, listen, we are way down the square as far as we're on live. I mean, we're actually at deep mid-on. So can I make a totally informed opinion on that? No, I can't. But for me, it certainly didn't look stone dead, I can tell you that.
Do you remember that over in the World Cup recently where Chris Gale kept being given out reviewing it and then staying? It might have been if it had the review available.
It just looked to me as though it was bouncing a bit. I know Northeast was trying to work it away on the leg side, but I mean, listen, I don't think that's too much of an indication, because I think batsmen would naturally just play with a slightly closed wrist on the leg side to go with the intended spin. So I don't think that's necessarily telling us much. But for me, it just he's on the front foot. He just looked as though it was bouncing a bit. I mean, the one down the leg side a couple of balls before that bounced. That's why I said it was well taken by Adam Wheater, because of course he's on the blind side, the wicket keeper, and yet still took it even though it bounced a bit. And that to me looked as though it was a similar type of delivery. So maybe a slightly fuller, but even so, I think the indication there is, if it's straightish or leg stump, it's actually bouncing. We saw one, didn't we? In his 1 over before lunch, we saw one bounce going down the leg side.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. Jury's out for me, that one.
Would be interesting to see a replay.
Well, it'll be on there, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
We'll have a look at that later. In fact, if you go on the ECB video section. Now, the new batsman is Anarian Donald, pushes well forward there into the ground, fielded at short leg. You can go onto the ECB videos section and scroll through to County Championship cricket, which is what I'm doing as I'm talking to you, and that will be posted up there shortly. You can make up your own mind. As Harmer bowls, flighted, and Donald pushes again along the ground off the front foot, fielded at short leg.
But you would have thought, apart from a bit of dampness, there wouldn't be a huge amount in it for Simon Harmer on this opening day, but he does have a habit of being able to take wickets.
He's a good spinner, isn't he? I mean, him and Jeetan Patel are different class, aren't they? It's pushed out on the offside by Donald. Again, he gets well forward. Good over. We'll get a good hand, of course, as the home crowd always support their side well here. 53 for 4. Yeah,
Jeetan Patel might yet save Warwickshire, particularly if he gets pitches that suit him, because they've been looking for some sort of reason for hope, Warwickshire, and they have actually improved in the last couple of games, and he's been part of the reason. So India, with a rain break at Old Trafford, with 3 overs and 2 balls to go, were 305 for 4. Pakistan have maybe just pegged that back a little bit. Rohit Sharma 140 off 113 balls, and Virat Kohli is 71 not out, so they could still make 340, 345. It's going to be a difficult one to chase. Worth mentioning Mohammad Amir, 8 overs, 1 maiden, 2 for 34. That's very good figures in the context of that score.
That is. That video is up on the ECB video site, the Sam Northeast LBW. So have a look. He actually, if anything, he probably hits him on the line of off stump, which is quite interesting. As I say, we're not in line here, so it's difficult to tell from this angle. Here's Sport around the wicket to Russo. Russo whips that away square on the leg side. There is a man deep. It's going down towards the pavilion here at Chelmsford. And it's 54-4-4. Here we go.
So I'll be able to tell by your raised voice or exclamation.
Well, I've already watched it once.
Ah, right.
I mean, Northeast. It's very off stump. Have you watched it?
No, I haven't. I'm just wondering, is it an element of it pitching him in line, hitting him in line, or?
Well, as I say, that's probably the only doubt there.
Yeah, I was wondering. So you think it might be going on to hit? It's just a question of where it's striking.
Yeah, hang on, let me scroll back for you.
Yeah.
Here's Porter, who's over the wicket to Donald. Donald gets a length ball. That doesn't bounce very much as it goes through to the keeper. Right, here we go.
Okay, let's have a look. So this is the wicket of Northeast. Certainly his pad is very much around about the off stump when it hits him. So obviously as an umpire's call as to whether it... No, obviously he's thinking it's going to spin and hit middle and leg or something.
Yeah.
It's where he's hit the pad with a line, regard to the line of the off stump. That's quite marginal.
It is, isn't it? To say the least. That's Donald pushing up towards mid-off this time. I'm sorry, it's not great commentating when you're commentating on a replay,
no.
But it's certainly gone off the straight as well.
Yes.
The ball.
So we think it's a question of whether basically where Northeast pad was in relation to the off stump and the line where the ball hit it. So that's perhaps the element of doubt. I do like the basically the umpire review system, which I think VAR is trying to emulate in football, where there is some discretion to the on-field umpire's decision.
Let us know what you think at Solar Sport. That's outside the off stump. It nips back a little bit as well. Probably didn't miss the off stump by very much. Looking at the reaction of Jamie Porter especially. Donald left that one alone. Have a look on the ECB video websites. And let us know what you think at Solar Sport, solarcricket@gmail.com, or
Essex.cricket, bbc.co.uk, or at BBC Essex Sport on Twitter.
I imagine we'll get 2 views on that, depending on the one's coming into you and the one's coming into me.
There's quite a big moment.
Comes Porter in the sunshine here. Donald's on the back foot, cracks that away through extra cover. It won't go all the way. It will certainly pick up 2. I think they'll pick up an easy 3 here. As it goes away to our right. 3 runs to Donald is off the mark.
Yeah, and Aaron Donald, after a sort of slow start to his Hampshire career, having been signed from Glamorgan, has basically had a little bit more success recently, but this is a fine opportunity for him to really make an impression. 46 at Newport against Nottinghamshire, 73 I think it was at Edgbaston, 75 at Edgbaston.
Comes Porter around the wicket to Russo. Russo works that legged ball through the covers. Chase on here for Nick Brown. They'll pick up 2. 59 for 4.
Yes, he's got a couple of scores, hasn't he, in the last couple of games, and this is a chance potentially coming in at number 6 to play a major innings, because that's what Hampshire need here. They've got to make sure that they put a reasonable score on the board, and just unsettled by that wicket, which was probably a fairly marginal decision, but it's gone against them, and therefore they've got to try and find a way of rebuilding from here.
45 they put on for that 4th wicket. Nick Jenkins at Silent Sport says the replays are also next to the live feed on the Essex Cricket website. Thank you, Nick. Useful bit of information. And the good news is that someone has cleaned the camera lens during the break, so that's good news as well. Harmer bowls, and it's cut away by Donald. Through the covers, beautiful shot, 4 runs. Slightly short there from Harmer. It sits up a little bit, but again it bounced. This is for me at the moment, for Harmer, the length he's bowling, it's bouncing going towards the far end. And for Jamie Porter, there isn't so much bounce coming from the Hayes close end towards us.
And often you do get quite a lot of bounce from the Hayes close end. So Crane will be watching this, and there's going to be bounce for him, which is an important part of the leg spinner's armoury.
I think if I was a spinner right now, I would say I'm only bowling the river end to the skipper. I wouldn't be saying I'd want the other end.
The usual end that Harmer will bowl. Yeah. He'll tend to bowl this end, and the seamers will rotate from the Hayes close end. And sometimes you'll get variable bounce from the Hayes close end. There's no sign of that. It's one of those Chelmsford pitches which is probably a little bit more in favour for batting in good conditions, which we didn't have this morning, than some of the ones we've had, which have been more of an even mix.
Harmer and Tendascatus just had a long discussion there as Donald placed that into the ground and fielded at short leg once more.
Don't have that many fourth days here, which is because the pitches tend to offer something to the bowlers, particularly on the first morning. They can go a little bit up and down.
Is this the whitest wicket you've had this season?
I think so, yeah.
Donald works that on the onside, gets a thick inside edge as it goes out to mid-wicket.
It's as if I think Essex were a little bit concerned about recognising the strength of the Hampshire seam attack.
Yeah.
They didn't want an obvious decision for Hampshire this morning.
It's a Harmer bowl, slightly fuller, and it is fuller. That's pushed into the ground by Donald. And the reason I mentioned Fuller, because it was in my mind, because I think actually now James Fuller is now a fully paid up member of the Championship squad. I think has given Hampshire an extra dimension.
Yeah, with his batting as well.
Yeah, but the pace wise, I mean, listen, the other guys been alright. That's Berg. Donald works that up to mid-off, fielded by Tendascatus. I think Gareth Berg has done a really good job for Hampshire over the years, and did at the start of the season. But I think maybe with Barker in the side now, there's probably 2 bowlers that were fairly samey in terms of their speed, and then there's Ian Holland waiting in the rings, who's a very similar type of speed as well. As that's pushed out on the offside. No, says Donald, as Riley Russo looked as though he was going to take a quick single. 63 for 4 at the end of the over. But I think with Fuller now, with the extra pace and bounce that he gets, I think it's taken a little bit of pressure off Abbott and Edwards. And I think, whereas before it was Abbott and Edwards that were the spearhead of the attack, I think you can put Fuller in that bracket now as well. And that's probably why Essex were a little bit reticent at the wicket. And
Barker's also been taking useful wickets recently, hasn't he? And he's just, with his experience.
Yeah.
It's also. Yeah. He's got the experience of winning a championship as well.
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
Comes to that. Steve's been back in touch and basically just referencing Adam Wheater, saying that he's hoping he's going to be fit to keep wicket throughout the game. Well, he should be, hopefully, Steve. He would have passed a fitness test to come into this game.
Yeah, he was out there early this morning, wasn't he? As Porter's round the wicket to Russo, works that foolish delivery out on the onside. There is another man deep, as there has been for Russo for virtually the entirety of his knock, which with that single takes him on to 30, 64 for 4.
You talk about when rain interrupts play, which side does it tend to suit, and usually it is the bowling side, isn't it? Because the batting side loses, they're having to come on and off. It's a question of trying to regain concentration. Of course, it is a way of keeping bowlers fresh as well, I suppose, with regular interruptions. But we're not expecting those this afternoon.
No. So, another next ball there. Donald pushes out quietly on the offside. There is still plenty of clouds around, but it doesn't look quite as threatening.
No. So, yeah, you say it's sunny in Istanbul, which is probably what we'd expect in June. So there we go. But thank you very much, Steve. And yes, I mean the pitch looks to be playing pretty well, and Hampshire just got to make sure that they get a decent score here, just so that if their seamers do well, they can keep them in the game.
It's Porter again then bowls. Donald on the back foot takes the bottom hand off the bat as he works that through the covers. There'll be another 2 runs there to Donald, takes him on to 9, 66 for 4 here.
And plenty of batting actually. Hampshire really do bat down to number 9 with Abbott coming in at 9. Keith Barker probably hasn't delivered with a bat to the extent that I thought he might have done, but he's capable. And then Fidel and Mason Crane, who one wouldn't expect too much from, although Mason Crane actually played extremely well in the final at Lord's.
He did. Gave Fuller some good support at the end there. Don pushing up towards mid-on. Nice straight bat.
Not that Hampshire were wanting to rely on Mason Crane's batting in the final, but it was that sort of day, wasn't it, Kevin, with the absence of Vince and Dawson against a Somerset side they were able to loan out. I mean, Jemmy Overton actually come back from a loan spell, I think, at Leicester or something like that to play in the game. Loaned out Don Best to Yorkshire, who were one of their championship rivals. Felt quite happy about doing that. It was a side that were being deprived of some of their key players against a side that were overloaded with them.
Yes, of course, no Aidan Markram either.
No, and that's a big point given the way he performed for Hampshire.
Yeah, so effectively 3 players down, Hampshire were. Donald works that length ball towards mid-wicket, no run there.
No, I mean, being without him as well. I think the thing about that final being there was Bird coming in at number 6. You're thinking, right, that's about 2 places too high. And you've already had that sinking feeling of yourself in the commentary box. But it was a nice occasion to go to as potentially the last Lord's final. My hunch is that the ECB's current plans will come awry in the next couple of seasons with what they're going to do with county cricket. Having a little Twitter exchange with Mr. Kevin Hand on this yesterday.
Oh, Kev, yeah. He's really firmly in view of all these plans, isn't he? That's fullish, and it's hit on the bottom of the bat there of Donald, who looks at it as the ball trickles out to wide mid-off. And that is the end of the over 66 for 4. Yeah, Kevin Hand, there's not too much that Kevin Hand is looking forward to, I don't think, over the next season or two. Our Middlesex colleague.
As I haven't said to him directly, but Middlesex's promotion challenge this year is probably the first example of a promotion challenge to peter out before Easter. Because they played a couple of rounds before then, and basically probably the game was up even by that point. But they've not been terribly good, Middlesex, in the championship. Really, when you look at what they should be able to do, given they were champions in 2016.
So Harmer's going round the wicket to Rousseau. Oliver Welsh at Silent Sport says, do you think Sam North East regrets batting first now as his team are 64 for 4? Not as much as he did when they were 8 for 3, I shouldn't think.
If the conditions had been like this from the start, you can see why the decision was made.
Yeah, you can. There's a deep mid-off for Riley Rousseau as Harmer comes in and bowls. Rousseau gets an edge past first slip. Probably well wide of first slip, even though it was slightly in the air. Is that Sir Alistair Cook? I think it was. That's gone up to the third man boundary for 4. I think even for him, who's done a lot of slipping in his time, I think that was too much to ask of him.
He's been in the commentary box for the World Cup. Well, he probably wasn't doing a lot of slip catching practice during that time, unless they were just throwing him the odd ball. But that would have been, if he'd managed to actually grab that would have been a terrific take.
Certainly would. Here's Harmer down the wicket. Rousseau is stumped. That is stumped. He tried to whack that over mid-on, and he was stumped by a country mile. But the good glove work there from Adam Wheater. And Rousseau sort of swung round and tried to get his bat in behind the line in time, but he was late, and he goes for 34. Not a great shot in the situation, but that's what we've come to expect from Riley Rousseau.
No, and Simon Hogg was sensing a chance of a wicket and just tempted him into the shot, and just that bit of drift that Harmer gets, causing Rousseau the problem. So that's a soft wicket. If they were a bit unlucky with the last wicket, Hampshire, then it has to be very much down to batsman error. It was a bit of a head in the air shot, really suitable for a much more profitable position with the overall scoreboard, and that's left Hampshire in a fair amount of trouble now at 70 for 5, and Essex will now